Welcome to Beyond the Ballpark, brought to you by Hurrdat ONE, providing your guide to Omaha this summer. I'm Kristyna, and this edition is really special because we're celebrating 75 years of one of college sports' most iconic events, and iconic to Omaha, the Men's College World Series. And who better to speak on this matter but two people. First, I have Amy Hornocker here, the Executive Director of CWS of Omaha, and a friend for transparency if we get off topic, and Anna Bellinghausen with Hurrdat Sports, who also knows this event inside and out from coverage over the past couple years. So thank you both for joining me in this conversation. Amy, talk to me also about how the event has evolved logistically too. I mean, in popularity, it's easy to see because it grows and grows, and we keep breaking attendance records. But logistically, what has that meant for you and your job and your team to keep it pushing forward?
So Jack Deasing Sr. was a little bit one of the founding fathers. That was kind of given the task of organizing the CWS way back when. He formed the CWS Inc. in 1967. Okay. So we believe, we like to say we're like one of the first sort of sports commissions. Not a lot of local organizing committees existed. So for years it was, an event arm, and it had no full-time staff. Mm-hmm. And then when the long-term agreement was signed down here, part of that agreement was that CWS Inc. would have a full-time staff that is dedicated to just helping the NCAA from the local side run this thing. And people are always like, oh, you run the College World Series, and I always like to preface, like, if everybody knew how many people it took, I'm like, I do this all by myself. Like, all by myself.
I think you should take that credit.
Yeah. I mean, it's countless people, and I hope that they all know how much we appreciate it, because I can't name them all, but just a lot of resources go into it, and I think everybody's pretty proud of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as tens of thousands of people come into the city, it just changes a little bit every year.
Every year there's something new that we have to fix or react to, or some stuff we build towards. So
and that's a good transition to my next question, which is, what does it take to organize? I know it's like the biggest question of all, but what does it take to really organize this event every year? I know it's a year-round process, and you're smack in the middle of it now, but some of the key efforts that go into making this a success that happen behind the scenes that maybe people don't realize.
Yeah, I mean, we have 5 staff that are Omaha-based. The NCAA has an internal staff of about 28 that work on this event, but they also work on other of their 91 championships. So between us and then the city and Mecca, and then we have 2 host institutions. In order to have a Division I championship, you have to have a member institution, like basically be a part of it. Creighton's been here since 1950. We added University of Nebraska at Omaha this year. Really, they've been helping us just like the rest of the city for years. We just kind of made it official. So it's like, it's hard. There's so many moving parts of this thing that we start budgeting in the fall, and there's something new every day that we're having to touch. So
and we see media from across the country come in to cover this event. Of course, if LSU is here, the Baton Rouge media is here, etc. But Anna, from a media standpoint too, it's of course a fun thing to talk about. But what do the logistics look like when you're trying to cover this event and inform the community, fans of what's going on, gameplay? I know it's more than just talking about who wins games. There's so many stories to tell.
Yeah, I think the thing we try to do most is find the stories of the athletes that will connect our community.
Yeah, you do a great job of that.
And like, it doesn't have to be about them being from Omaha. Of course, there's only a few that come through that have that real connection. So how can you find a story that any human can relate to, right? Whether it's some adversity that they've faced, or it's the team's first time here and this is how they got here, this is what they overcame to get to Omaha. I think just endearing the athletes to the Omaha community is the thing we try to do during that time. And it's a lot. I mean, it's 8 teams coming through. I don't even know how many players on each team. There's plenty. There's like over 40 on each team. So it's a lot of people to try to look through. And the media day is like always the craziest day because, you get about a half hour with each team, like in their clubhouse. You're picking players to talk to. You're coordinating with the sports information people and then NCAA to grab certain people and get the stories that you need, because you also might not really get to talk to those teams again, because if they lose a couple games here, they're out. So no, it's always fun, but it is funny to see the media contingencies around certain teams, because LSU, that locker room is completely full. You can barely move
Shoulder to
around
shoulder.
in it.
Yep. Yeah.
Other teams obviously maybe not covered as much, but those are always my favorite to talk to, because those guys love sharing their stories and are just happy to be here in Omaha and want to talk about themselves and their team. So it is a fun experience, and there's definitely nothing like it when you go. Like, I've covered other NCAA championships in different cities and states, and just nothing compares to like the camaraderie here and just the community here. And yeah, I'm biased because I'm obviously from Omaha,
Of course, but
there's nothing like having an event that's in the same spot every year and you just get that familiar face every single time. It's special.
Yeah. Some of those legacy teams too probably are. Yeah, we expected to be here. So of course, their talking points are on point, but probably the ones that are the Cinderella stories that are surprised by their own presence, I'm sure they give you the most candid answers for some of those interviews too.
100%.
Yeah, and you make a good point. A lot of national championships have 4 teams, like your Frozen Four, your Final Four.
Yep.
So we have 8. We have 8 big rosters here. So it's a lot of people and a lot of coordination of those people. So
yeah, and you have it down to a science too, because you got to moving in, moving out. Yeah. You have the schedule set. Yep. You're trying to get media to and fro. So it's
and shout out like to our airport partners and like our bus service, because they don't get enough credit, because when these teams get here, they usually they're supposed to stagger their arrivals, and like there's a really cool image out there. There's 4 that arrived at the same time, and so they're like trying to unload. Then they fly private charter, so they're not coming in terminals. So they're trying to unload 4 planes, and they have all these boxes and luggage, and it's just like, so it's a well-oiled machine out there.
Yeah, it's not just a bunch of guys in their carry-on bags.
No. There's pitching machines, and it's like, what is that?
They got a lot of stuff.
On a plane. They're like, listen, if we need it, on the plane it goes. And we touched on this a little bit too, Amy, but it is not just the, folks that are organizing events at the stadium, which are important. You really have like a whole arsenal of like volunteers too. That pitch in to do a lot of different things. Tell people about that.
Yeah, we have a unique situation. We have what we call team hosts. They're volunteers. They started kind of their life as, like I mentioned, the service club organizations. Some of these guys, I just was listening to a story, 1983. I was one, not to age myself, but he has been a team host, and he has like national championship rings, and so they're basically like the welcoming crew to these teams. Like it's changed over time, right? Like all these teams travel with so much personnel now, but being able to like have a person in Omaha they can call to do anything from like just grabbing them food or telling them where they should go, those kinds of things. So those are all volunteer organizations, and they host an event for each team that just kind of make them feel at home. I think off at Air Force Base is one of our volunteer groups. So I always feel lucky for those teams, because they get to go down and they get to do get a look at the planes, and like they do dog demos and all sorts of stuff that I probably don't need to know about. But and then we just have general volunteers, that work our fan fest areas, and there's a ton of just people that donate their time.
Yeah, and for those volunteers too, they are just like directing foot traffic, answering basic questions, telling people where they can find sunscreen. I mean, it's such an important piece of creating that hospitality element down and around the stadium. But it's just, to your point, it's people who just want so much to be a part of the event and give their time to do so, which I think is also probably what makes the event so special.
Yeah, definitely.
So with the 75th anniversary upon us, have there been any challenges or triumphs when planning how you're going to commemorate that event?
Yeah, it is hard to top the 50th anniversary. That was actually the origination of the Road to Omaha sculpture.
Oh, okay.
So that was our organization created that and gifted it to the city, and obviously it's iconic now.
Yep.
We have
lots of people taking pictures around that every summer.
The most outstanding player trophy is a small version. It weighs 34 pounds. So I'm getting off topic, but when you hand it over to to like.
I don't think I realized it was that heavy.
that's
When you
every
hand
year,
it,
there's
it's like, hey, FYI, this isn't gonna be light. But so that's interesting. So it was hard to top that. So we're doing some community things. We have like a traveling trophy, and I think the biggest one that we're excited about is on Thursday, right before the event starts, June 12th. We get to use we have the access to use the beautiful new Jean Leahy Mall Riverfront Park to really have a community celebration that's free to the public, to just really thank the community for all they've done for this event. And so there's bands, fireworks, all that stuff. So that's what we're excited. It's kind of a thank you party, I guess. This year.
Yeah, which I think is
not a statue, but a party.
I miss the concerts that you guys used to have, like with the headliners and stuff.
Yeah, it got the new stadium jinxed us on opening.
I was going to say, so this is the deal with fireworks, right?
Here's the deal. Yeah. We had 50% of the time, Mother Nature did not love that idea. Yeah. So we pivoted a little bit after COVID. The teams, we have to be respectful of a bit of a business trip for them. And so it doesn't get dark here until 9:45. So asking them to stay if you play.
Yeah.
I know. It's a hard one.
And that's if the weather cooperates, because there were times where everybody had given up and gone home, but if the fireworks are wired and ready to go, the fireworks got to go.
Yep.
So it was us and 3 of our closest friends watching a fireworks show more than once. Yeah.
Yes. It was not fiscally responsible, no.
No. That's fair. But still, of course, CWS of Omaha and the NCAA do a wonderful job of finding ways to continue to celebrate student athletes. And that party at the riverfront is going to be a great opportunity for them too. And as we think about the anniversary too, Anna, when you are chatting with players or just through your sports coverage, do any moments or historic pieces or elements stand out to the people that you chat with, especially as I'm sure they're all aware that this anniversary is upon us too?
Yeah, I think just the biggest thing is how Omaha's embraced it over the years.
Yeah.
I think that's just always what comes to mind for players when I talk to them about the College World Series. Like, everyone is so nice here. We didn't. Also, another thing I get a lot is we didn't realize how much of a city Omaha was,
right,
and that's always my favorite thing. Because they're like, oh, it's only corn out here and stuff like that. But it's fun to hear the players realize, oh no, this is a city. There's buildings, there's a beautiful stadium here. So I think more than the history and whatnot, I would say they always bring up the hospitality. I mean, it's always about how the place made you feel, and I think that's what Omaha does right every single time, and I think that's why this event continues to be here, and I hope it's here literally forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that comes to mind. But yeah, I mean, players and teams, I mean, there's been so many incredible teams that come through here. You think about the USC run, you think about the Vanderbilts, LSUs, Floridas that have come through that have really shown out, I think. Yeah. I mean, Nebraska has been here before. Creighton, correct? They've made it as well.
90s?
They've made it.
I think it's an anniversary for Nebraska. 20 years since they last made it, maybe?
Yeah,
2005.
Yeah, 2005.
Yeah.
Both those teams got to get back here, because I would love to witness a game here with one of those teams.
Yeah.
I mean, even Omaha.
Can you imagine? Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. We need a Nebraska reunion here for that team. Would be pretty cool to see how much red would be in that building.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
They'd claw their way in. They'd be in the rafters if they can't get inside.
Yeah, they would have to be buying tickets off all the LSU people. I don't know what they would do.
Yeah. From a logistical standpoint, I'm like,
you're
okay, sure, go Huskers, right? No.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. I think something I'd ask you both too is, what do you think is a thing that people would be surprised to learn happens behind the scenes with the College World Series? And maybe I'll start, because I know it immediately comes to mind to me in my time working at the Ballpark and with you, Amy. I was surprised to learn that the CWS is so intentional with hiring an organist, and then what it took to replace that person that had been doing it for so many years. The national search that you did, of course, now you have John, who comes in and plays the organ.
We've conned John into staying here with us. Yeah.
When he's not playing for the Cubs.
Right.
He is the organist for the Men's College World Series. And feedback that I hear every year is this appreciation that you've been so mindful to keep the presence of live organ music within the ballpark. And within the event. So that was something I was surprised by.
Me too. And I was like, I have to do what? Find a new organist? How do I begin?
Truly, I mean, was that just and I know it was a very long story, but was that truly just like you put out like the bat signal on the internet, or
we knew the
is
Cubs.
there a talent coach?
Yeah, we knew the Cubs had just done it. They had replaced their long-term one. We reached out to their production folks and said, how did you do this? And we had this whole plan, like we're gonna do these auditions, and then they have 2 in Chicago, and they were like, we might have one of these guys might be interested. And we were like, okay. And like obviously he knocked it out of the park, and we thought we'd have him for 1 year, and he's like, hey, I kind of like it here.
Hey,
and I was like, well, thank goodness, John. We'll have you back.
Can play things by ear. I mean, he's a treasure. He was an excellent get. So what do you think that people would be surprised by that is part of behind the scenes action?
I think learning more and more about the TV production side of it, I think just what goes into the ESPN broadcast is really cool, and just like getting to know the commentators, Chris Budden, someone I've talked to plenty, and then Kyle Peterson, a guy from Omaha who gets the College World Series right in his backyard, can't get much better than that, honestly, if you're a broadcaster. But I think just like the camera placements, everything that goes in behind the scenes of them setting up when their trucks get here. I mean, Amy, you probably know all about that with when they need to load up and start setting up all their cameras. But it takes a village to get this thing on ESPN.
It does. I mean, and they're always looking for new. They added the cam, and then they have their drone, and they just came out looking at another sort of camera location. So they're trying to figure out the best way to capture this thing always, and they do an awesome job. And it's a huge production. So for me, it's like first thing that came to mind, so I'm just going to say it when I talk about all of our partners in the city is we have a individual in Public Works that's been with us for a really long time, and the joke is he's in charge of the sewer perfume. So like if you talk about like the non-glamorous sides of this thing is like there are people that are we want to put our best foot forward for our visitors, and his job every year is to make sure that our sewers don't smell bad.
Wow.
So like I mean
I'll be checking that.
He handles that title. He'll take it. He takes it, but
significantly important.
He's retiring soon, and some.
Oh no,
I don't know.
We got to make sure you have to replace.
We got to make sure this is part of the transition plan.
Yeah, you could probably go on Craigslist for that too.
Yeah, probably. I mean, sure.
Yeah, someone will do it.
That is fun. Yeah, I mean, it truly, to your point, when there's 24,000 people in the area, things like that become a
cell service. That's probably another big thing.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, the continual need for technology, upgrades and those kinds of things, always something we're looking at.
Yeah. Do you have, just given both of your history with the event, do you have a favorite MCWS tradition that you personally look forward to every year, something that you anticipate, that you just know is going to be part of the event that you can't wait to see or be a part of?
I would say as a kid, I was always waiting by the buses, getting autographs. That was like I was the biggest sports fan ever. So now it's not autographs, it's doing interviews. But I remember.
You've leveled up a little bit.
Yeah, leveled up. And they used to do the autograph sessions with the players too. So I'd go down the line with a little baseball and meet all the players and stuff. And then I'd get really smart about it, and I'd look up like, okay, who's getting drafted, right? And so I'd, be like, okay, like I'm gonna get this guy and this guy at the bus, get them to sign my baseball or my bat or whatever it was. But that was like my favorite tradition, I think. And I mean, I still have those baseballs to this day, and it's like something I'll cherish. It's just like those little moments of having a big event in your backyard. I think growing up here, like you think it's a small city and stuff, but like it feels like a large, place, a large city when that event comes in town. So I'd say that's my favorite tradition. Other than that, I think I've grown to appreciate the event even more, like, because when you're young, you're like, oh, it's just here every year, right? It's just this thing we do. But talking to more people and realizing how many people come in and travel for that, I think it just shows how grateful we are to have it here, and helps us have some gratitude of like this event being here and how well it's put on. And I think beyond that, like, it's fun because it's become a reunion for a lot of my friends and family of like, okay, we'll come in town for the College World Series. And, for those that have moved away, it's always just like a homecoming, if you will, for people.
Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, for me, my favorite part's when they're all here.
Yeah.
Because once we get rolling, we're good. But getting once they hit the ground here is like a biggest, it's not necessarily a tradition, I guess, but it's a big milestone for the people that work on this thing. So that's a big one. And I guess Zestos.
Oh yeah,
a sigh of relief. I truly, I was going to say when the SEC folks are in town with their tailgates and they insist on feeding you, you're like, well, twist my arm.
When the Blat opens their roof. That's
also
a good
lovely.
dish.
It's amazing what they can accomplish with like, a portable grill.
Get
in a
yourself
parking
some-
lot.
yeah.
They are making delicacies over there.
Jambalaya out there in Lot D.
And I'll just, I'd slink out of the ballpark for an hour and, oh, what a shame. You'd like to feed me a full meal? That's excellent. Yeah. So it's all of that, the tailgating, the ancillary events all contribute to what makes the whole thing, I think, so special too. I wonder, while I'm asking you odd questions, what's the weirdest or funniest request you've ever received from a team or a fan during the series?
Ooh.
Is it deli trays during weather delays?
Yeah, that's a very important job that I have.
It's just someone's got to run the meat and cheese.
these boys, if they sit idle, they have to eat. So yeah, that's a behind the scenes story. If they go into a weather delay, they immediately get food.
Got to feed them.
There's a chain of command on how this food gets ordered.
Yep.
Do they get a pick, or is it just?
It's basically like a big tray of meat and cheese.
Because you're running
and
it. Yeah, I mean,
sandwiches.
it's immediate. They need to be reactive and feeding
and they also have, they're big. That's no secret, is the Uncrustable fandom that these athletes all have.
The Uncrustable, Uncrustables I've never seen
Uncrustables are
before
huge.
popping up in the state. I was like,
I saw the Stanford coach 2 years ago walked up into the stands and bought a hot dog. That was pretty sweet.
Oh, that was. I remember that too. Yeah.
I think top of mind for me right now is we had to recently source a shoe shiner for our umpiring.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
So I'm like, what?
Because the thought of not having a shoe shiner was
I'm like,
a significant hurdle that you had to overcome.
It's a tradition, I guess. So so we just sourced a new person to do that. That was an interesting. They're like, how do you find a volunteer to do that?
Yeah.
The interesting jobs you have to outsource too. What about you? And any just kind of off the wall interact, because of course it's people from out of town, and they saddle up to you with their southern drawl and usually have a take or something to say that makes you scratch your head, but you're like, God, that is this event.
I think just walking around the parking lot and just seeing people from all different parts of the country, whether teams here or not.
Yep.
I mean, you mentioned LSU, but like making their food and everything. I don't know if this guy comes every year, but he literally has basically a play set on top of his truck.
The pirate ship?
That's right.
Maybe it's the pirate ship.
And
There's
has
like
a slide?
putt-putt. There's slide.
I'm like, how did that get in here?
I don't know.
In pieces?
So you do have to come through like an
that's
overhang.
always the crazy stuff, is seeing all these rigs people have set up. I'm like, how did you get this in here? Where are you from? Like, how did how did you build? How did you think
all
of this?
The cauldrons of like jambalaya. Like I'm like, what is this?
People have a full gator out there that they're grilling gators.
That's right. Yeah, they did do that.
There's some wild stuff, but it's all good. It's all fun.
Yeah.
And just the different, we alluded to earlier, things you could not even expect. I remember, was it in 2019 that Vanderbilt was here and brought the Vandy Whistler, which which has mixed emotions, brought mixed emotions.
We love you, Vandy, about oh gosh.
Oh man. And I could never quite tell if it was, and this is not dismissing anybody who has an opinion on the matter, but I couldn't tell if it was actually because he was loud or disruptive, or because they just would get mad that it seemed really celebratory when Vandy was doing well. Yeah. So I could never decide if this was the true crux of the debate.
Yeah.
But I also never had to sit down next to him. So
yeah. And you can hear him on broadcasts.
Oh yeah.
You can hear him on
I think that was a big issue.
Yeah. So there's just things that you can kind of anticipate, like wildlife in the ballpark sometimes, or of course people who have made a history or a name of being a source of conversation throughout the whole season, and then finally coming to a culmination when they get to the College World Series. What's your go-to concession stand item?
Ooh, I love the nachos that they have. They added this I forget, what is it, like a 3-foot long nacho?
Oh gosh, something's new every year. Something crazy.
There's always a new menu.
There's always something new. I would say, the nachos. They have tachos. They have like a groundskeeper tacho that's really good
too. The tacho is my go-to as well.
I would say that.
Yeah. I like the mini donuts.
Oh, mini donuts are good too.
So
they lure me there with the smell.
You like the coffee and energy drinks is what you seem to be running on for the entirety of that series. Yeah, tacho is usually my go-to as well. They always are thinking of something new and different there, along with your traditional, your peanuts, your popcorn, but they keep you coming back for more, and rightfully so if you're spending a whole day watching baseball. And we hope you'll mix some water in there too with your adult beverage. So now, just given your history with the event, is there a coach or a player interaction that stands out as being really special to you, just as we look back and like celebrate where the history has been and where it's going.
Yeah, I mean, we got to honor Skip Bertman as college World Series All-Star 2 years ago. I obviously wasn't around for Skip's tenure. He's obviously well known. He got, and it happened to be that LSU was here. So when he was announced as that, we did it for their game, and their fan base still loves him so much. But we have. For our organization, like we have every team we really like, but there's some that have been so kind to us over the years and just haven't gotten to the national championship. So like I'm forever like a Virginia and Arkansas fan. Virginia's been here the last 2 years and they've been eliminated, immediately. So if we could see one of those two teams from like a staff perspective. Yeah. Like I'm not necessarily a fan of anyone. Neutral, but because my alma mater doesn't even have baseball, but
so you're a fan of all of them.
I just the people that are so easy to get along with and so kind, and you just watch them come here and get heartbroken every year. So like we cheer for those guys.
Yeah. What do you think, Anna? Any interactions, players, coaches that stand out to you too?
Yeah, I think I would say Arkansas would be another one for me. Just so kind. I think just the people on their team, you can just tell the way that program likes to recruit. It's just good people, period. And I think that one stood out to me. I think, again, Oral Roberts from a couple years ago, I think they were just so kind and welcoming and just easy to get along with. LSU is always fun. They always have characters on their team for sure. I mean, Tommy White and his home run moment, his hair. Tennessee was fun too. They had the tiger blanket and stuff for home runs and silly hats and whatnot. So I think you really get to see the personalities every year of all these teams. That's what makes it so unique. And it's cool now because like I've covered these guys in college and now I get to see them again in Major League Baseball too. I think that's always unique to kind of see them grow too.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee apparently had a heck of an after party at the Marriott we didn't get invited to.
How rude.
I know.
We like an after party. But you're right. It is. It just goes to show history and legacy of these teams that now when we say LSU, for example, LSU getting a lot of love on this. They do every summer in Omaha, of course. But, we were just having the conversation about, Barrett's is the LSU bar.
Still
is. And all these places just become synonymous with these teams that come back every year. And again, maybe LSU's not playing, but, their fan base is going to be here. And they're going to be saddled up to the bar at Barrett's. Or different locations around town that start to raise different team colors and make their mark all around the city. So, of course, we talked a lot about the anniversary of the event, but where do you think the Men's College World Series is going?
Yeah, as Anna mentioned, with the growth of the sport of baseball and the TV deals, and then, whatever happens in the collegiate landscape, there are definitely schools and conferences that are investing in baseball. So I think we're gonna see some more loaded teams come in here. I think it's our mission to continue to look at this thing every year and see how we can be better. So hopefully it's still and forever the road to Omaha. So
can you add any more seats in there?
Yeah, I mean I don't know.
Yeah,
there is some plans, but then we might have another plan that might ruin that. So
fingers crossed. Exactly. That's just it. Where it's like you try to look at all the ways that you can move forward or better accommodate or think bigger, but we are fortunate in that the stadium exists in this spot where you can activate and have nearby businesses and bars and restaurants, but then also it confines you to the space that you have too.
Yes.
But to your original point, it's something that can only happen because of the way that it was developed in North Downtown Omaha, with the thought of the future in mind too.
Yeah.
Of course, we've covered a lot in this episode, but Anna too, I'd ask, when thinking about the future of the Men's College World Series, what are your hopes for it?
Yeah, I think more TV deals, I think, is number one. I think getting as many games as possible on ABC is going to be huge, and we've seen that with volleyball as well, and that's helped, I think, the growth of that sport. And I think the retention of talent, I would love to see more of that with NIL and the ability to pay these players. Well, maybe they want to stay in college a couple more years versus, working their way through the minor leagues, and that might end up being the more attractive option, I think, in the long run for a lot of these guys.
Good thoughts,
So I think that'll help. I think just the development of Omaha, this this is going to keep getting bigger and bigger. Just with the population here, the hotels, the restaurants, the economic impact of this event is incredible to the city. So as long as I think Omaha keeps embracing it, I don't see why the NCAA or anyone would ever think to move it out of this place. And I don't think anyone can do it like Omaha. So
yeah. I mean, I would echo everything she said. So, yeah, we just, as long as we don't ever start taking it for granted, I think the sky's the limit on what this can be. So,
yeah, and after a few decades, I think it's been demonstrated that Omaha does put its best foot forward every single year, as demonstrated by the fact that we're thinking about the way the sewers smell even.
That's incredible.
Thank you so much to both of you for your time and your insight and your wisdom, because it is one of the, I think, our favorite things to talk about in Omaha is the Men's College World Series. Amy, if people want more information or if they need to follow along for if there's weather updates, up-to-date game or event information, where would you direct people to immediately?
Yeah, I mean, our website is CWSOmaha.com, and that also is where you can find a bunch of the 75th anniversary information, obviously. There's also NCAA.com /MCWS.
Yep.
And that has a lot of the more ticketed game time information.
That's
so
great. Yeah, and Anna, if folks want to follow Hurrdat Sports coverage, where can they do that?
Absolutely, at Hurrdat Sports, HURRDAT Sports. Find us there. We will be heavily covering this event, basically starting now. So
You're already covering
we're watching these teams and making sure we know all the things about whoever's coming to Omaha. I mean, that's the biggest surprise is who are they teams that are going to be here. We'll be ready no matter what, but it's exciting for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best time of the year in Omaha, no doubt. So thank you both for joining us too. So whether you've been to Omaha every year or if you're just discovering the magic of the MCWS, we hope we gave you a deeper appreciation for everything that goes into making it possible, because it truly takes a village, or in this case, it takes a city. And catch more Beyond the Ballpark content for your guide to Omaha only on the Hurrdat ONE network.